Okay, so welcome to our OTTs, our online tech talks. I am Lucas, I am software engineer here at White Prompt, and today I will talk a little bit about Python APIs with FastAPI. To start, what is the OTT? What is this space? It's a space to share something that we've done during the week, talk about some blog posts, presentation, new frameworks, features, or tools. So feel free to talk, to share, and talk with our architecture engineers to present the next OTT and share something cool. For those that are watching on YouTube, please subscribe and give us a like. And let's start with what is the FastAPI. So from the official website, FastAPI is a modern high-performance web framework for building APIs with 3.5 plus, 3.7 plus, or on-standard Python type hints. So what this means? So FastAPI is a modern framework that came out at 2018, created by this person, Sebastian Ramirez. He's very active in the community, and he felt that the existence frameworks are not using the newest technologies that Python 3 has, so like type hints, async, and other really cool stuff that we can use. So FastAPI, it's key features. So for start, FastAPI, as the name says, wants to be fast. So very high performance compared on Node.js and Go, and one of the fastest Python frameworks available. We'll talk in the next slide about this. This characteristics is from the official website, so like fast to code, fewer bugs, intuitive, easy. It's more like a propaganda. But when we compare FastAPI with Django, Flask, other very popular frameworks, we can see that since FastAPI it's a newer framework, they use a lot of things that are very helpful for programmers, Python programmers, as the Python type hints. So one problem with Python, it's a not non-strong typed language. So when you are reading the code, maybe sometimes it's difficult to see what is happening. So with type hints that are released on Python 3.5, the ability to read a Python file, a Python script, really increase. And FastAPI use this feature to create a more legible code. So the next, the two last, we have robust and standards-based. So FastAPI includes, it's built on Starlet. So this makes FastAPI fast. We'll see in the next slide. They use Pydantic to data validation. He used Swagger to automatically document your application. We'll see in the example. And all these features, it's really well constructed inside FastAPI. It's really well integrated and really easy to use. So that's the reasons that FastAPI, even being a really newer framework, got some attention from the community. So talking about performance, we have this test made by Tech Empower that compares web frameworks of Python. So we have Unicorn, and this is interesting. So we have FastAPI in 6th place, so it's a great place to be, since it's a very user-friendly framework. It's built on Starlet, so it cannot be faster than Starlet, because FastAPI adds much more features. And this other test, it's about updated response FastAPI. Again, it's behind Starlet because the same reason, but it's really well collocated in the ranking. So let's go to the example to see all these features from FastAPI in use. First, to install FastAPI, we need Python 3.7 or plus and pip. To do this example, we need FastAPI, Unicorn, that is the ACGI interface the FastAPI used to communicate with web. And for the database, we need SQL Alchemy. So here's just the structure of the example. We have here the database, just creating the database and all SQL Alchemy stuff. We have the models. It's a simple example with just one table called movies that has the ID, the title of the movie, the director, the duration in minutes, and the rating. And this file, the repository is just an interface to interact with the database to access their functions. And for the FastAPI stuff, that's the cool stuff. So first, we are importing base model and field from Pydantic. We are creating the base model that has title, director, duration in minutes, and rating. These two fields, I'm using validation. So the duration in minutes needs to be greater than 0, and the rating needs to be between 1 and 5. There's other types of validation from Pydantic, like email, IP, regular expressions, or optional fields, different types of validation. So this makes this part of programming very easy. We have the movie request. So it's the model used to request or create and update. And we have the response. The movie response, it's the same as the movie base, in addition with the ID, and it's configured to use the same structure as the ORM, the SQL Alchemy. And to our main file, the last file. This is our endpoints. So it's a CRUD from the table movies. So we have our post endpoint. This is the basic structure of how to create an endpoint with FastAPI. We have this decorator. First, of course, we need to create our FastAPI app. And we create the endpoints by using these decorators. So we have first our URL of our endpoint, the response model, the expected status code. So when we create a movie, we expect 201 created status. To the function, we have the request. So the request needs to match the movie request class. So when you are requesting the API, the body needs to have the title, the director, the duration in minutes, and rating. And with this validation, and we depend from the DB connection. So that's the main form of an API. This is how we raise an exception. For example, in the delete, if we didn't found the ID, we raise 404, movie not found. So this is how we raise a HTTP exception. And let's see the Swagger, the OpenAPI. So here it's created automatically by FastAPI. So all the code that I need to create this documentation is the same one that I show you. So I didn't need to add any kind of configuration, anything like that. We have the schemas, the two schemas that I create. So, and our APIs are using. So movie requests have the title, director, duration in minutes, rating, and the rating needs to be at a maximum 5 and minimum 1. Duration in minutes, same thing, minimum 0. All this validation are described in the documentation. So it's very easy when you are developing with another team, like the front end, or to the client to test some things. It's very helpful to have this tool already built in FastAPI. So let's test the API. So here we have the movie Avatar from James Cameron. 200 minutes of duration and a rating 5. So we execute, and we have the server response, and we can list the movie right here. So let's test the validation. So if I try to give a rating 10, we have this server response. So we have a 42 and processable entity. They are telling us the field rating needs to be ensured that has the value less or equal to 5. All these messages, and I didn't configure, it's already built in Pydantic. So it's very nice to have this already detailed, and we don't need to have this concern of have meaningful messages. So it really helps to build faster APIs. We have the get, the put and delete endpoints, and this is the documentation. We have testing. I didn't create any test, but FastAPI includes the test client class that helps a lot to testing the make integration tests. So it's very helpful and very fast to create tests. The documentation, it's very easy to access and to understand. It's very simple. It's very directly. So it's a good source to create our applications. So that's the end of the example. Let's back to our presentation. So let's compare some aspects from FastAPI, Flask, and Django. Flask and Django are the two most popular frameworks that we have for web development with Python. So when you are talking about Django, about performance, we have a normal performance, and Flask is faster than Django, it's lighter. And we have FastAPI, it's faster than the other two. Async support, this is very interesting. So Django has async support with restricted latency. Flask doesn't support native. He needs another package called async.io, and FastAPI accepts have async support, so it's very nice. About packages. So Django, it's the biggest framework that we have in Python. So I think it's older than Flask and have plenty and a lot of packages for all kind of stuffs. So it's very good when we are creating something complex using Django. So we have a lot of material. Flask, it's they called a mini framework. It's very simple, has less packages than Django, and FastAPI, because he's new, like 2018. He was released in 2018. Flask was released in 2010. So it had less packages, but the community is very active to creating new ones. About popularity, Django is the most popular, and because of this, we have a lot of material and a lot of the community is huge. So we have the Flask is the second popular, and FastAPI it's new. So about learning, for my personal experience, I start Python web development with Python with Django. And I really struggle with some aspects about the framework. It's a lot of things that are specific from the Django framework. He has his own ORM. He has Django REST framework that that's the package to use to create REST APIs. So it's hard to learn, but it's really consolidate, and we can build a lot of things with Django. So Flask, it's easier to learn. So I did just some tests with Flask, but I didn't have any difficulty to learn how to interact with Flask. It's really simple. It's a mini framework that you can run things, build things real fast. And the last one, the FastAPI, I don't know if it's easier than Flask, because Flask is very simple, but has a lot of features that helps to understand the code better, to write some with more clarity. So it's very, very good. So to finish, we have the pros and cons of FastAPI. So we have excellent performance. We have native concurrency support, that is the async, inbuilt documentation support, as we see, and inbuilt data validation with Pydantic. It's very helpful and easy to deploy. So with Mangoon, it's another package. It's much easier to deploy than other applications in AWS Lambda, for example. So it's very good when you want to test some things, so create just test access to a database or something like that. And the cons, the community, it's small compared to the Django community, the Flask community. And because of that, we have less packages than other frameworks and lack of material, because it was released in 2018. So that's it. It was just a resume and an introduction about FastAPI. So if someone has some question or experience with other frameworks, other with Flask or Django, feel free to share. No? All good? So that's it.
Thanks for sharing. Yep.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for being present here. And continues watching us. Watch other online tech talks is on our YouTube channel. And see you in the next. Bye.
Thank you, Lucas. See you.
Bye.